on the third floor. But which door?
This is the flat on the left-hand side.
Bring your lantern over here, Inspector. Yeah, I thought as much. The door's ajar. He could be anywhere in the building by now. Yeah, maybe we should split up.
No, not yet. First, let's make sure this flat's empty.
Oh, this place is deserted. No furniture, no carpet.
Direct your lantern onto the floor, Gregson. Yes, thank you. Now you've got a trail of bloodstains leading to the front room. Follow me.
By George! Will you look at that? Black Georgiano himself. Someone got to him ahead of us.
Quite so. And on the windowsill, someone's left half a candle and a box of matches.
Well, what the dickens are you doing, Holmes? The man's dead, with a knife in his throat.
Yes, so I observed. A veritable giant of a man. It must have been a formidable blow. And no doubt he tried to defend himself. You notice the dagger lying close to his hand.
So this is the man you were after?
Yeah, what?
You say a man emerged from the building while you stood guard below. Did you observe him closely?
Of course.
Was he a man of about 30, dark, middle-sized, with a black beard?
Yes, it was.
You didn't recognize him?
No, I never saw him before in my life. Why?
Yes, possibly he didn't have a beard when he lived in New York. Yes, no matter. I've given you his description, and you now have an excellent outline of his footprint in that pool of blood. That red circle.
Ah, you mentioned the red circle before. What does it mean?
It's the name of a secret society in Naples, allied to the old Carbonari, an infernal brotherhood of crime and corruption which extends from Italy to London and to America. Isn't that so, Mr. Leverton?
Right. The oaths and secrets of the Red Circle are terrible. Yet once a man gets into the power of the Brotherhood, there's no escape.
And this Black Georgiano, what sort of a man was he?
Black-hearted. His hands red with the blood of his victims. In Italy, he earned the name of Death. He had to leave Naples in a hurry to avoid arrest. When he reached New York, he set up a new chapter of the organization. Thank God that Death has caught up with him at last.
That's all very well, but who killed him?
I can't tell you his name, but you have his description, his footprint. That should be enough for you, surely.
It's not much to go on, Mr. Holmes. Among all the millions in London...
No, perhaps not. That's why I thought it might be best to summon this lady to assist you. Please come in, Signora.
What the...
You have killed him. My husband, you have killed him.
I think not. Look again, Signora.
Oh, Dio mio, it is Georgiano. Oh, Signor, this is wonderful. The most wonderful. But I do not understand. You are police, is it not so? You have killed Georgiano. But where is Gennaro? Where is my husband?
I must ask you to identify yourself, madam. You are...
I know this lady. She is Mrs. Amelia Luca, the wife of Gennaro Luca, Italian immigrants living in New York.
But where is Gennaro? He called me this moment from the window, and I ran here with all
speed. It was I
speed.
who called you, Signora, using the flame of that candle.
You? Well, how could you call?
Well, the code was not difficult. I knew I only had to send the word Vieni, and you would surely come.
How do you know these things? Oh, that evil man, Georgiano. How did he... Oh, now I see it. My Gennaro, my beautiful Gennaro, who has guarded me and kept me safe. Oh, thank God. It was he who killed this monster.
Excuse me, madam. I'm still not quite clear what's been going on, but I must ask you to accompany me to Scotland Yard.
One moment, Gregson. I fancy this lady may be as anxious to give us information as you are to hear it. You understand, Signora, that your husband may be arrested and tried for the death of the man who lies before us. But if you believe he acted from the highest possible motives, you cannot serve him better than by telling us the whole story.
Oh, now Georgiano is dead. We fear nothing. Oh, Signor Leverton, you must tell them. Georgiano was a devil. No judge in the world will punish my husband for having killed him.
I'll do all I can.
Then I suggest that we leave this apartment as we found it. Put a man on guard, Inspector, and let's escort this lady to her own room and hear what she has to tell us.
Well, madam?
I was born in Posillipo, near Naples, Gennaro was in my father's employment, and we fell in love. He had no money and no prospects, nothing but his strength, his goodness, and his beauty. And my father forbade the match, so we eloped. We were married in Bari. I sold him my jewels, and we purchased tickets to sail to New York.
How long ago was this?
4 years. At first, fortune smiled upon us. Gennaro was able to do some service to a wealthy businessman, Mr. Castle. He saved him from an attack by some ruffians in a place they call the Bowery. You know it?
I know it only too well. Clifford Castle is the senior partner of Castle and Zambra, the chief fruit importers in New York City. Out of gratitude, Castle took Gennaro Luca under his wing.
He was very good. He gave my husband work in his office and soon made him head of his department. We were able to take a little house in Brooklyn. Our future was full of promise.
Until the day your husband ran into Giuseppe Giorgiano.
He was like a black cloud, shutting out the sun, and he soon covered the whole sky.
Signora, don't distress yourself. Please continue, Mr. Leverton.
Like I said, we were already keeping tabs on the man. The Italian police had made contact and warned us about him. After that, we had him tailed wherever he went, and one of the places he went was the Lucas house in Brooklyn.
He used to come and visit us. I could not understand why my Gennaro, who was so good, could befriend such an evil man. I asked him many times, but he would not discuss it. Until one evening, soon after he had come home from the office, the doorbell rang. When I opened the door, Signor Leverton walked in.
Mrs. Luca?
Yes?
Is your husband home?
Why, yes, he is, but...
I want a word with him. Ah, there you are, Mr. Luca.
Who are you, huh? What do you want?
The name's Leverton, from Pinkerton's detective agency. I'm making inquiries in connection with a fellow countryman of yours, Giuseppe Giorgiano.
I know nothing about him.
Oh, but Gennaro...
I do not know the man.
I hate to have to disagree with you, sir, but you were seen with him in a bar on Bleecker Street not more than an hour ago. I need to know what business you discussed with him.
I do not understand.
Emilia, please. When I say I don't know him, I mean I hardly know him. He comes from my home district in Italy, and he likes to talk about old times. That is all. I do not do any business with him.
Is that so? And what can you tell me about the Red Circle, Mr. Luca?
I can tell you nothing. I know nothing of the Red Circle or about this man. I've done nothing wrong. Now stop asking me questions and get out of my house!
When Mr. Leverton had gone, I begged Gennaro to tell me the truth. I put my arms about him because I saw he was afraid, a deep secret fear. And at last he told me everything.
We know Giorgiano was one of the Red Circle leaders. I suppose your husband is a member of the Brotherhood?
Oh, not anymore. At home in Naples, in his young days when he was wild and rebellious, he had joined the organization. But he soon realized he had made a terrible mistake. When we fled to America, he thought he had cast it off forever. Then he met Giorgiano again, who began to blackmail him and tried to involve him in criminal activities. Gennaro showed me a paper he had thrust into his hand that very day, with a red circle upon it. It was an order to attend a meeting. If he disobeyed, he would be killed.
You should have told me. We could have protected him.
Oh, there was no protection against such a man. And if anything happened to Gennaro, I would have been left alone, penniless in a foreign land. Worse still, more than once, Giorgiano had tried to force his attentions upon me. He made no secret of the fact that he found me attractive. Oh, without Gennaro, I would become a helpless victim. We both knew that.
So, your husband obeyed the command.
He attended the meeting?
He did. That night he was very late in returning. I feared for his life. When he came home, it was almost midnight. But he was not alone.
Come in, sir. You know my wife.
Mr. Castle.
Of course. A very great pleasure, ma'am.
How do you do? Forgive me, I am in my dressing gown. I was not expecting...
Neither was I. But your husband was most insistent when he telephoned and asked me to meet him here.
Oh.
Now then, my friend, what's all this about, huh?
Sit down, please. Both of you. Mr. Castle, I believe you have recently met an Italian by the name of Giuseppe Giorgiano.
That man, I knew it. If it is bad news, I knew that he would be involved in it.
Well, I've met him, yes. But I'm sorry to hear he's an acquaintance of yours. He came to my home a few weeks back and tried to blackmail me.
Oh, no.
It seems he's the ringleader of some gang. He goes around threatening successful businessmen with violence unless they pay him money. Protection money, he calls it.
Yes, this I knew already. But you did not agree.
I most certainly did not. I said if I heard any more of this nonsense, I would go directly to the police.
It is a great pity you did not do so.
Huh?
Tonight, the Red Circle held a meeting. I was forced to attend it. They resolved to make an example of you, sir, as a warning to future victims. It was agreed that you and your home should be blown up by dynamite.
Oh, Dio mio, you must go to the police at once.
Wait. There is more to tell. We drew lots as to who should carry out the deed. And I saw Giorgiano smile at me as I dipped my hand into the bag. Somehow, he had fixed it. When I drew out my slip of paper, I saw... Well, here it is.
The Red Circle.
It was a clever plan. If I obeyed, you, my benefactor, would be a dead man, and I would be wanted for murder and hounded by the police. If I refused, the Brotherhood would kill me at once. To save my life, I had to pretend to go along with it.
Dear God. What are we to do?
There is only one way. Tomorrow, you must go to the police and tell them all you know. It is all the evidence they need to arrest Giorgiano.
But what about you?
By this time tomorrow, Emilia and I will be on our way to London and safety.
But the plan misfired, and Giorgiano slipped through our fingers. He managed to escape and followed you to England, intent on revenge.
The rest of the story we already know. Signor Luca made arrangements for his wife to live here, secretly and safely, but he could only communicate with her through the newspaper until tonight.
And now I ask you, gentlemen, do we have anything to fear from the law? Would any law on earth condemn my husband for what he has done?
That is up to the law to decide, madam, not me. But I'm sure Mr. Holmes will use his influence on your husband's behalf. It wouldn't be the first time.
I don't know what your British judges will have to say, but in New York, I guess Gennaro Luca will have a pretty general vote of thanks.
I think we may indeed take an optimistic viewpoint. We all saw that Giorgiano was armed with a dagger. It's clear enough that your husband killed him in self-defense. I don't think you've much to fear, madam.
Oh, thank you, Signor.
What I still don't understand, Mr. Holmes, is how on earth you got yourself mixed up in all this.
Education, Gregson, education. Still seeking knowledge at the old university. Well, Watson, we must be on our way. We have another appointment this evening. I fear we're already late.
Another appointment? Do we?
Certainly. Do you think you could waylay a hansom, my dear fellow?
This other appointment you referred to. I don't recollect anything about it.
Oh, I'm sorry, didn't I tell you? Yes, we have another call upon our time, I fear. At an address somewhere in Covent Garden.
Really? What's it all about?
A mysterious murder, Watson. A crime of jealous passion and revenge. An Italian stabbed to death.
Another one?
I have the necessary documents here in my pocket. Perhaps you'd care to take charge of them.
Theatre tickets?
The Opera House, my dear chap. Rigoletto. With a bit of luck, we should be in time for the second act.
In The Red Circle, Sherlock Holmes was played by Clive Merrison and Dr. Watson by Michael Williams, with Joan Sims as Mrs. Warren and Ronald Herdman as Inspector Gregson. Mr. Warren was played by James Taylor, Emilia Luca by Una Beeson, Gennaro Luca by Lyndon Gregory, James Leverton by Dominic Letts, and Cyrus Castle by Philip Anthony. The violinist was Leonard Friedman. The Red Circle was dramatized for radio by Peter Ling and directed by Enid Williams.